"Don't speak this word if you don't want to get rich" is not a dramatic exaggeration, but a profound spiritual principle that governs wealth, success, and the flow of abundance in every human life. Because words are not merely sounds, but living currents of energy that shape reality at its root. And the word you must never casually speak if you desire riches is the word lack. For the moment you say it, you are not describing your situation, but commanding your future, declaring to the unseen forces that operate the universe that scarcity is your chosen state. And the subconscious mind, which cannot argue or reason, immediately accepts this declaration as law and begins rearranging circumstances, people, opportunities, and timing to obey it. Which is why countless intelligent, hardworking, talented individuals remain financially stuck, not because of fate, economy, or bad luck, but because they unconsciously worship the language of limitation and unknowingly curse their own prosperity through habitual speech, repeating phrases like, "I can't afford it," "money is hard to get," "things are getting worse," "I'm always struggling," or "rich people are greedy," not realizing that every sentence is a seed planted into the soil of consciousness, and every seed must grow according to its kind. So when you speak lack, you harvest lack. When you speak struggle, you harvest struggle. And when you speak fear, you harvest fear. Whereas wealth is drawn effortlessly to those who understand that money responds to identity and vibration rather than effort alone. And identity is constructed primarily through words spoken consistently over time, which is why ancient scriptures, mystical traditions, and modern psychology all agree on one timeless truth. In the beginning was the Word, meaning creation itself begins with speech, and if the universe was spoken into existence, then your personal financial universe is also spoken into form every day through your mouth, whether you are aware of it or not. So the poor man and the rich man do not differ first in bank balance, but in inner dialogue, because the wealthy individual, even before money appears, speaks from the consciousness of sufficiency, opportunity, trust, and expectancy, while the struggling individual speaks from anxiety, defense, justification, and survival. And the universe, which has no judgment and no bias, simply mirrors back whatever state is most consistently affirmed, which explains why two people in identical circumstances can experience radically different financial outcomes, because one is silently commanding wealth while the other is loudly commanding scarcity. And this is why the word lack is so dangerous, because it locks the mind into a closed loop where imagination collapses, faith shrinks, creativity dries up, and perception narrows, causing a person to miss opportunities that are literally right in front of them, since abundance requires expansion of vision, while lack enforces contraction of awareness. And once the mind contracts, it cannot receive, just as a clenched fist cannot hold a gift. And this is the hidden reason affirmations work, not by magic but by neurological conditioning, as repeated language reshapes neural pathways, emotional responses, and decision-making patterns, gradually aligning behavior with belief until external results inevitably follow. Which is why when someone stops saying, "I don't have," and starts saying, "I am supplied," something extraordinary begins to happen, because the nervous system relaxes, creativity awakens, confidence rises, and actions become bold yet calm, strategic yet intuitive, opening doors that were previously invisible. And this is also why complaining is one of the most expensive habits a person can have, because complaint is prayer inverted, a declaration of what you do not want, and the universe, unable to distinguish desire from fear, delivers exactly what is most emotionally charged, which is why emotional repetition is more powerful than intellectual knowledge, and why people who know everything about money still struggle, while people who simply expect good often prosper effortlessly, since expectation is a silent command that shapes probability, and when you expect wealth, you subconsciously prepare for it, recognize it, and welcome it, whereas when you expect struggle, you unknowingly repel opportunity opportunity through hesitation, self-sabotage, and mistrust. And this is why silence is sometimes more powerful than speech, because if you cannot yet speak wealth, it is better to say nothing than to keep affirming lack, as every spoken word carries authority, and authority spoken in ignorance still carries consequences, which is why ancient teachers warned to guard the tongue, not for moral reasons alone, but for creative ones, since the tongue is a steering wheel for destiny. And once you understand this law, you realize that getting rich is not about chasing money, but about aligning language with abundance, identity with value, and belief with divine supply, because money is an effect, never a cause, and when the inner cause is corrected, the outer effect must follow by law, not by chance, which is why wealth often comes suddenly after a subtle internal shift, when someone finally stops arguing for their limitations and starts allowing the idea that life can support them, that they are worthy of ease, that provision is natural, and that abundance is not something to steal, fight for, or feel guilty about, but something to accept as a normal state of being. And this acceptance begins the moment the word lack is removed from one's vocabulary and replaced not with forced positivity, but with calm certainty, such as "there is a way," "I am guided," "I am supported," "resources come to me," or even "this is temporary," because these phrases keep the mind open and the channel unblocked, allowing wealth to flow in forms that may initially appear unrelated to money, such as ideas, connections, timing, insight, or courage, which later crystallize into financial gain, proving that riches are not pulled by desperation, but attracted by alignment. And alignment begins with speech, because speech reveals belief, belief shapes perception, perception guides action, and action creates results, forming a closed creative loop that either compounds abundance or compounds scarcity over time, which is why some people seem to get richer the more they have, while others lose money the moment they touch it, because one group speaks increase while the other speaks fear, and fear always demands proof before belief, while abundance belief creates proof through expectation. And this is the paradox that confuses most people, because they think they must see money before they can speak wealth, when in reality they must speak wealth before they can see money, not as denial of reality, but direction of reality, since words are directional forces that tell energy where to go, and once you stop directing energy toward lack, it naturally reorganizes toward supply, because the universe is inherently abundant and only appears scarce when filtered through a consciousness trained to notice absence instead of presence, and this training happens through repetition of language since childhood, which is why changing one word can feel uncomfortable, unnatural, or even dishonest at first, but discomfort is often a sign of growth, because the old identity resists replacement, yet persistence rewires the system, and eventually abundance-aligned speech feels natural, calm, and true, and at that point wealth becomes inevitable, not because you chased it, but because you stopped blocking it with the most dangerous word of all, the word that quietly tells life to stay small, stay tight, stay fearful, the word lack, which once removed allows the richest force in existence to finally hear you clearly and respond accordingly.